We're joined here in the studio by Di Burns and Leah Thorn. Good morning to you.
Morning, Bob.
Thanks for coming in. And Leah, you're a spoken poet, aren't you? Can you explain to people who aren't into poetry what the joys of poetry are and what it adds to literature?
Wow, that's a large question, Bob.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I just say for me, really, I came to poetry late in life. I was 40 the first time I wrote a poem. And what I realised is you don't need many words and you can say a lot with very few words, and you can express yourself in a very individual way. So that's how I use poetry. I work with people in the community to write poetry that expresses who they are, issues that are important to them, and I think it enables people to have a voice who sometimes have never been able to express before what's going on for them.
And how different is it to purely writing?
Well, I'd say that I'm helping people craft the poetry, but also not necessarily for writing, but for speaking. So we'll talk in a minute about, the poetry pop-up shop, and that has a different way of putting poetry across as well, because we wanted to make poetry live rather than just have it in a book, which is a good thing to have, but to have other ways of getting people involved with poetry.
Right. Di, you're a local entrepreneur as well, as Leah does, part-time. How's the shop going down the high street, the Skylarks?
Oh, Skylarks is going really well, thanks, Bob. It's a wonderful little community down there in the old high street, and we're really enjoying our time there.
Yeah, and it is buzzing, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, there's a really good atmosphere down the old high street, a really good vibe going on down there.
Yeah. And how are you involved in this pop-up shop, then?
Well, textiles, as you know, is one of my passions. I'm a textile artist as well, and we're working very closely with Leah. Leah was producing poetry with some community groups, and then I was going in and working with the community groups to produce a piece of art, textile art, driftwood we've used also, and pebbles to depict some of the poems. And I've also been asked to curate the exhibition, which I've invited many artists from Folkestone and beyond to take part. So we've got things like photography, yarn installations, couture, textiles, handbags, light installations and paper installations as well. So it's a real amazing mixed bag, along with some film as well.
Brilliant. And it's in this pop-up shop at the George's House Gallery, part of the Folkestone Book Festival from, let's have a look, a week on Saturday, isn't it? 16th to the 24th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anybody can go along, including on the late night as well, on Friday the 22nd. So what will people find there, Leah, when they pop into the gallery?
Well, I'll talk about the poetry side, because Di's already mentioned some of the artwork that will be there. We've got a programme there of poets who are going to be in the shop. We're going to be running workshops, and we're going to be doing performances. So, for example, on Sunday the 17th, Jim Jam Arts is going to present Play on Words, which will take poetry onto the stage, as it were. There's going to be 2 workshops for children and parents or carers, with a local poet, wonderful poet, Joseph Coelho. Di's going to be doing a really exciting workshop on Sunday the 24th, where people can bring an item of clothing and poetic inspiration, and she'll show people how to put the poetry onto the clothing. I'm going to do a talk, and I'm going to show a documentary about my work with women in prison, using poetry for transformation, for sort of empowerment.
Oh, really?
And
which prison do you go to?
I go to prisons all around the country.
Really?
I work with men too, but this is going to be talking about, pretty specifically talking about women and how it can support women. And then the other thing that's going to be aimed at women, there's a workshop for women called Poetry to Survive Life By, which is with another local poet, Sharon McCarran, and she's deliberately done that in the morning time so that women who are available, who've maybe taken children to school or aren't working, can go along to that.
And I mean, men perhaps would need some advice of how to survive life these days.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just that I think we wanted to sort of make sure that women had a strong voice within the whole project. And the last thing, which actually is open to men to come to as an audience, and it would be fantastic for men to come as well as women, on the last Sunday, which is the 24th of November, which is actually the last day of the book festival. We're going to have a women-only poetry bill with singers as well, to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And that's going to be a really beautiful event in the gallery with all the artwork around. And it'll be women just expressing how women survive and using poetry.
Oh, right. That's in the evening, 7:30 to 9:30.
That's, yeah.
And the admission charge is £7, isn't it?
Yes, some of the events are free, some you have to pay for, but we're asking people to book so that we get an idea of numbers, because the space isn't huge, and we're asking people to book tickets through the Folkestone Book Festival website.
Oh, right. And Di, how did this event evolve then? What was its origins? Who thought of it?
Well, Leah and I have worked together on a couple of projects, starting with International Women's Day earlier on in the year, and we both found that we really like working together and that our work really complements each other. And so Leah came up with the idea of having an exhibition alongside the Folkestone Book Festival, and to produce textiles from the community poems. And then she asked me to curate the exhibition, so then I went hard to work inviting lots of fantastic artists along to take part. So it's been a real pleasure to work on it with Leah.
Yeah, and would it sort of inhibit people, if you said poetry? Poetry is all around us. Every pop song that you hear is poetry, but people don't associate it with poetry. It's an odd cut-off point, isn't it?
That's exactly why I wanted to curate the exhibition in the way that I have, to really present poetry in a way that people have not thought about. And it's actually a groundbreaking exhibition. Nothing's been done like this ever before, to produce and curate so many different individual items that come together under the roof of poetry and expressing ourselves. The theme of the exhibition is identity, and this will be shown through all of these different artworks. And there'll be live performances throughout, as Leah has said, throughout the week. So if you have had bad experiences with poetry, perhaps at school, then I urge you to really come along and reconsider your preconceptions of poetry.
Well, it's a good point, that, isn't it, about school? They sort of cram you through at everybody's pace, but perhaps not yours. And you can be put off so many things very, very early in life. I think it's one of the tragedies of modern education, really. But anyway, there we are. That's another completely different subject. Sponsorship has come from the Creative Foundation and Shepway District Council to bring prices down and so on. So that's good. And now, Leah, you have a poem that you'd like to present to us.
Yes. This is one of the wonderful poems that was created in the community. This is by a group at Mind, a group of women and men, and they each contributed a little piece, and then the whole poem sounds like this. It's called My Up-Down Life. This hand first held another, 1962, the hand of my mother. This hand now holds those tiny hands, the sweet soft skin of my grandchildren. This hand threw a shoe at my ex's head, leaving a dent in the wall I missed. This hand wore 2 wedding bands, each later sold for scrap gold. This hand holds my family when we are sad, clings to the strength I need to succeed. This hand held him close and wiped away the tears when he left. This hand is growing old, but is still mine. It has written 1,000 words, a thought, a feeling not to be heard. This hand has followed me through my sad and up-down life.
Wow. That's amazing. That gets all human emotions into 30 seconds. And
I've actually edited it down a little bit. It is a longer piece, and if you come to the pop-up shop, you'll see it, and you'll see how beautifully it's been put together into an art piece.
Yeah, that was extremely powerful. Yeah, that touched me. The simplicity of it.
Yeah.
From the hand to all these sort of life experiences that we all go through, and A lot of us suffer, and some of us don't, some of us do. But no, that's wonderful. So thank you very much indeed for that. We'll just recap on the dates. Starts Saturday the 16th to Sunday the 24th. The base is the George House Gallery. That's at the top of the High Street, isn't it?
It's number 8, yeah.
Yeah. And you can go in there from 11 till 5 every day, with a late night opening on the 22nd, and the fabulous Females performance, marking the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, is on Sunday the 24th, 7:30 to 9:30.